band back together, getting the boys who rock to rock again. Getting the band back together in the midst of a place that remembers when some punks from the suburbs lit the sky with too much reverb. Getting the band back together.
Hello. Hi, everybody. It's Ken Davenport. Welcome back to the Producer's Perspective Live. If I looked a little awkward when the curtain rose there, it's because I was desperately trying to finish an email right before Mary said, Ken, you're on. But I got it out, and you wouldn't have known unless I told you. But that's what I do, is I often reveal things I'm not supposed to. Anyway, welcome back to the Producer's Perspective Live. It's Friday. Happy Friday. Thank God it's Friday, I guess, if we know what day it is. Or whatever day it is. If you're watching this on replay, I was reminded that many of you watch on replay, and when I say, hey, it's Wednesday, you're like, it's not Wednesday. It's like Saturday morning. It's like 3 a.m. I can't sleep because I'm, wondering what the heck's going to happen, and I'm scrolling through CNN, which you shouldn't be. Forget the news right now. This is the only news you should be listening to. Yay Friday, says Benny Lumpkins Jr. Yay Friday. Great weather here in New York City today. We'll see what the weekend holds. Hopefully everyone will keep that social distancing up. We had some fantastic weather here today. I thought it was Thursday. Thanks for the reminder. I know. It just sneaks up on you. It sneaks up on you. So hope you had great weather. Hope you're all feeling good wherever you are. We had a great guest last night, Lauren Lataro, choreographer Lauren Lataro. Waitress Mrs. Doubtfire joined us. She was a ton of fun. She told us how it's totally okay not to write King Lear during the pandemic. That was like such great advice from her. She was like, don't put pressure on yourself. Just absorb, process what you're going through as an artist, and the great stuff will come out later. So don't put too much pressure on yourself. And it's okay to not do something. And then she literally was like, oh, by the way, I'm creating this giant dance piece in July with like all of the Broadway shows out in front of it's amazing. That's who she is. Go watch the replay, and you can see how she gets done all the things that she gets done. You can watch the replays for all of our episodes as well. They're all there. And don't forget, it is still okay to donate to the Actors Fund when you watch a replay. In fact, that's where we're getting most of our donations, on the replays. So I guess you're like, oh, I want to see it again. Oh, it's really good. It's really good. I'm going to throw some money at Lonnie Price or Andrew Lippa for his Tiger King musical, or Alan Cumming talking about, I think he was talking about candles. Was he making candles? Or getting fit? I don't remember. I'll have to watch the replay. Anyway, tonight's guest, it's like choreographer week here. Miss Stephanie Klemons is joining us, another Broadway vet performer, transitioned over to choreographer. She was an original cast member of this musical you've never heard of before called Hamilton. That one. Also in The Heights. And by the way, she's the dance captain of Hamilton, which means she's got to keep that thing all in line. So we're going to get into that because that is not an easy job. Also, she was the associate choreographer on Bring It On and is now since gone all the way to choreographer. Just got back from co-choreographing Fly with Andy Blankenbuehler. So give lots of hearts and likes right now if you want to see Stephanie Klemons come join us, and that will spread the word about what we're doing and make some more money for the Actors Fund. So go ahead and do that. Today's news, we had some very sad news from Arendelle last night, in that Frozen, unfortunately, is going to be closing. This is Casey Levy, heartbroken to announce that Frozen will not reopen. It's awful to see this. This is a musical I was actually looking forward to bringing my daughter. That thing opened and I was like, my daughter is 1. It'll be running until she's 16. I'll be able to bring her then. And no, sadly, no. Although I have this sneaking suspicion. Wouldn't it be very Disney for this to go away and then come back? They've done that before. They closed Beauty and the Beast. They brought it back. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw Frozen freeze another Broadway theater in the next year or so. So that's some news that hit us. Don't forget about the Daddy Long Legs reunion that's coming up May 21st, 8 p.m. Just added Paul Nolan to the list. So that's going to be a ton of fun when we reunite that group and talk about, frankly, the first Broadway, off-Broadway live stream that we did way back in 2015. Who knew? Oh, and also the biggest news, and really what I have to show you is last night I challenged all of you, and especially one person, to send in a photo of your Corona uniform, which is, this is mine. It's like a golf sort of sweatshirt, a hat covering my Corona cut, sweatpants. Sometimes, I mean, everyone has a Corona uniform. So Drew Rieger, one of our most loyal guests. No, look, look at that. First of all, nice place, Drew. I mean, look at that. It's palatial right there down in Baltimore. And it's a very far off shot of his Corona uniform. I like it. It's shorts. He wears shoes. That's good. I've chosen not to wear shoes unless I go outside to walk the dog. Hat, I like it. It's a good one. If you have a Corona uniform, something you wear every day, send in a photo. We may feature it. Hashtag Corona uniform. Okay, that's enough of that. Let's see what Stephanie Klemons' Corona uniform is today. Let's bring her on to the live stream right now. Welcome, Stephanie.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you, Ken?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm so good. Thank you. My uniform today is a black sweatshirt. And I have to be honest with you, I'm really warm because my house hasn't adjusted yet to the temperature change. It's so nice, but I'm sweating a little. So I usually wear this black sweatshirt and now I'm very hot. So
I feel like a black sweatshirt is a very dancer choreographer. It's like, just give me a sweatshirt. Just throw on a sweatshirt and some leggings.
You know, it's like a nice sweatshirt, so I feel like I can dress it up if I want to. But today we're chill. I feel like, you know, Friday night at home. Yes, I'm wearing black sweats. It's a very dancer look I have going on right now.
Good, you got the sweatpants on. I'm a big fan now of the like shirt and like a nice shirt and sweatpants, which I'm calling the Corona mullet, which is like business up top, sweatpants.
Corona mullet. I love it. Wait, did you by any chance see Pippa and Steven's video that they made? Pippa Sue and Steven Pascal, they did, I don't know, they just did like a fundraising video, and they sing this beautiful mashup, and they sing the whole thing, and it's like 4 minutes long, and then they stand up and they have underwear on, and when they walk away, it's so cute. You should check it out. It's really good.
It's great. I mean, those are some very attractive people. So a lot of people are probably Googling right now.
I mean, it's a great video.
Steven about underwear.
Yeah.
Underwear. I think
come out of the coronavirus.
I think Steven is going to be on at some point. Mary's talking to him about coming on. Mary's looking for that video right now. I can see it backstage. She'll post it. So you said house. Where are you in the world?
So I actually live in Long Island. I moved out here back towards the end of my In the Heights days. And, you know, I always said that I wanted to move to the coast of an island somewhere. And I was thinking more like Caribbean. But in order to keep my career, I had to stay close. And then I found this really beautiful little nugget of a place called Long Beach, which feels very much like California, but is, you know, a Long Island railroad trip away to New York City. And I moved here. And I've been here ever since. And, you know, it's funny, when I was doing If Then, I would quick change at my final costume. I would quick change my street clothes underneath, and I'd run to Penn Station. It was like my final haul of the day. Like literally I would run from basically I did one show at the St. James. Everything else has been at the Richard Rodgers. So I just like run from 46th Street to the A train. And, you know, you're home in like an hour, and I get lots of alone time, downtime to read and, you know, do whatever. So I've been out here now for I think it's like 10 years.
Wow. So wait a minute. I want to scroll back because just in case people didn't quite understand, you underdressed your final outfit with your street clothes? Is that what you just said?
Well, yes. So here's what happened. My dresser was in on it. It was great. And I would basically, the main thing, because of course my street clothes, my show outfit was like a dress with the midriff showing and right. So I would underdress my underwear, and then she would quick change my outfit that I had worn for the day. So it was very easy to get out of my costume because it was like a slinky dress, and I'd have my regular underwear on. So I'd have taken off my mic pack, put it onto my regular unders, and then I'd quick change and I'd run. And Miguel Cervantes, I don't know if you know Miguel Cervantes, who is now Hamilton, he was in If Then with me. And the two of us would run because he was making a New Jersey transit train. And I love Adina, and I love her, and we would always give her crap because she never came to places on time. And so if the show went up after 8, it was like 8:11. Okay. If the show went up after 8:11, we were not making our trains. And so we would just be like backstage, just like, come on, Adina, 8:09, 8:10. But she almost always made it by 8:08. Towards the end of the run, it got a little late, but anyway, she had a kid, and she would often have him upstairs, Walker. And now that I have a child, I understand the struggle is very real. I can't even imagine how she did it. But yes, I did Underdress to race to the Penn Station at the end of that show. Is my final move for the show.
Let's give the dresser a shout out. Who is your dresser?
Oh my God, she was so incredible. You're putting me on the spot. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting her name right now.
Don't worry, it's not live, so we can edit this out.
Yeah, I can't remember her name right now. She was so incredible. She was awesome.
We'll just go back to like making fun of Adina for being late.
Yeah.
No one will notice it. Don't worry about it. We'll just do that. You have a kid. How old? I saw this on your Instagram. 1?
Yeah, he just turned a year 2 weeks ago.
Oh, congratulations. So how is this period with a 1-year-old?
I mean, it is, I feel like, I mean, you hear all these stories and like parenting and whatnot. It's difficult and all, but it's like every parent is like wearing a cape and we just don't know it, you know? And I think like even the process of labor and going through that, and as a dancer and understanding my body and that the difficulty and how intense it was, it's just like I look at every mom, like even the crappy ones, and I'm like, you're amazing. like you did that.
So you only get your kid in the grocery store, but you were still amazing.
Literally, I'm not kidding. That's how I feel. So yeah, it's been such a learning experience and so incredible. And obviously all the emotions, right? There's moments that are really hard. There's so many moments that are wonderful, especially my wife is an essential worker. And so she's not home all week. And so he and I have a lot of time alone together. And it's just like, it's such an amazing time to watch him grow. And, you know, there's so much happening and my heart is so heavy a lot for our industry and so many of our friends. And then I look at him and I'm like, I would never have had this time with you. And so it's such a bittersweet thing that's happening. So
where were you when the virus hit the fan, as I like to say? What were you doing when it all stopped?
Yeah, so you mentioned in the intro, I was just co-choreographing a show called Fly. So basically the timeline went something like, my wife and I hadn't been on a vacation since before I got pregnant. And so, and Ramsey, my son, travels with me everywhere. Like, so for all, I'm also the global supervising choreographer of Hamilton. So I traveled to all the companies internationally and in the country, and he would come with me everywhere. And so he and I were in California with my mom. And so my wife met us, and then we were going on a 4-day getaway to a friend in South Carolina. Now, I don't know if any folks are watching from the West Coast, but the way that the panic descended on New York, the West Coast was in a different world. Like I would call home and people are like, are you scared? Because like the truth is like I actually got sick in California. Not got sick, I hurt my back and I had to go to the ER. And the first question they asked me when I got there was, have you been to China, or anyone that you've been in contact been to China recently? And I was like, and I really was like not up on the tip. You know, I was like in tech. I was like totally focused on the show. I was like, been to China? That's like the first question they ask me. I'm like barely breathing and so so I guess in the hospital they were privy to it, but I feel like everyone around me was like, what is going on in New York? And so when the show was done, when we opened, it was like March 9th. We flew to South Carolina on March 10th, and the people we were staying with were like Lysoling our bags. And I was like, okay, that's like a little much, but you know, fine. You know, and I get it. Like she was like, I have kids here. And I was like, great. Like, I don't know if I would have done that, but thank you for making sure we're all safe. And so we were there for 4 days, and I flew home on the 15th of March. And on the 16th was like the last day, where I feel like on the 17th was the day that sort of like things really started to like lock it down. Obviously Broadway made announcements much earlier, but it was, you know, I got home one day, and the next day was the day I never stepped in a building ever again. So it was weird. It was kind of like weird because I was not, and then I flew into New York, and it was like mayhem here. And then it just like the world's kind of stopped. So yeah.
It's to think about all you mentioned, the global supervisor of Hamlet. God dang it, it's Friday. Hamilton, both big hits. I mean, both big hits.
Either one, really. I'd
Both,
go with
like,
both.
male protagonists, very fiery gentlemen, like, looking to get something done. Parental issues, maybe. So you're a supervisor for all these productions, right? And all of a sudden they just all stop.
Yeah.
And I'm just imagining. So, do you ever go to some of the other productions all over? And I'm like, when you're putting them up, and you're like, I wonder if people are going to like it here, because you see audience response from totally different nations, right? So what's it like seeing it in a different place? And do you have that moment of like, I wonder if it'll be the same, or maybe it was just a fluke back in New York?
When I was in the show in New York, I had a friend from London who was coming into town, and I was like, she's like, I want to go see a Broadway show, and I was like, okay, well, duh, I'm gonna get you tickets to Hamilton. She's like, I'm really not interested. I'd much rather see Aladdin. She was like, I'm sorry, but she's like, I don't know. Like, she was so candid, and I was like hurt. She was so frank, and I was a bit hurt, but I was like, okay. And our mutual friend was like, you should probably just see Hamilton. Like, she's gonna get you the tickets. You should see it. And so begrudgingly, she showed up, row E, poor her. And after she texted me intermission, she's like, I don't really know all the stories, but this show is absolutely life-changing and incredible. And so it was that moment that I thought to myself, not that London is so far off. Obviously, there's much like Hamilton's going to Australia now. That's much further. Not so much culturally, right, but distant. So I feel like that one experience kind of let me know that just doesn't matter if you have, that American sort of underlying background knowledge. Like, there's something about the show that really hits people. And when we got to London, it was like, the cast started, and it was just as magical, just as powerful as the 3 US companies I had previously put up. And it was special. And then when audiences started coming, we didn't know. To be honest, we all were like, we hope this is a hit. If not, like, it'll be a good show. It'll run for a couple months, and the dancing and the singing is nice. And it was like, it really transcended the cultures. People really got it and understood. And obviously there's ties to London. We mentioned them. We talk about them in the show. King George is a huge hit and all of that. But we didn't know, and the truth is it really lands with people because the story of the less fortunate in society, and the story of the people who are not given opportunity when they win, that's the underdog story we all know and love. And to know, for me, I remember when I used to watch as the dance captain, I'd watch the show when Lynn was in it often. I would think, my God, is this ever going to do well? Because there's something so powerful when Lynn would come out, right? And he would say, Alexander Hamilton, I wrote this. It's like, it was so powerful. I was like, will that ever land again?
Yeah.
And then it did, over and over and over again. And so, there is something really magical about the show that it transcends all of those things. So we'll see how Australia does.
Yeah, listen, I've seen it with multiple people playing the role, and it is so effective each time. But seeing Lynn do it, I used to describe it as like, it must have been like watching like Mozart conduct his own opera. You're like, oh, this is your entire world. We're just living in it. We're just like taking a vacation from ours and going to your world.
Yeah, and now everyone's going to see that happen on Disney Plus.
I know. I'm very excited because I just got it for my kids, so I'm like, woohoo!
Great.
Free on Verizon too, by the way. Verizon's giving it away for free for a year. There's a tip for everybody. I just saved you all some money.
Great.
So talk to me about the transition you're making from being an associate choreographer, performer associate, now to choreographer. Have you always known that you wanted to be a choreographer, or is this something that has just come about?
So I have to be honest with you. I never wanted to be a choreographer. It was not my intention. I wasn't really setting out to do it. But I have like multiple origin stories where I set out to dance in something, and then I was dancing in it, and then I became the choreographer. And this dates all the way back to like a summer at sleepaway camp when I was supposed to be a dance counselor, and had hired too many, and they were like, we created a position for you. You're going to be the resident musical choreographer. And I was like, musical choreographer? What? That summer we did like Bugsy Malone, Jesus Christ Superstar, Funny Thing Happened in the Way to Form. I choreographed like 4 musicals that summer with, all the kids. And that was when I was 19. And then it just happened over and over again. So like when I was 26, I was in, or 24, I don't know, who knows, this is early on in my career. I was in Heights, and then they were putting up the tour, and I was the dance captain, and Andy was like, you and Michael should be the associates. And so I was the associate choreographer of the first national tour of In the Heights. And from there at, 25 years old is when I did the tour of Bring It On. And so it kind of like started early because people pulled me into it. And another example of like a totally different team, I was working on If Then, and Mark Myers was unavailable to put in the first replacements for the national tour. And so they hired me as like the associate choreographer to like set, because I was also the dance captain of that show. And so, transition always feels like a weird word to me, because it was always like both things were always happening at the same time. I've been choreographing. I like choreographed my first off-Broadway show like the month after it was in an off-Broadway show when I was 21. So kind of always happened like this. And it was never like me I still don't have a choreography reel to this day, which is embarrassing, but I don't. Because it just always was people being like, will you choreograph this? Will you choreograph this? And so, I feel like the two things happened equally. And I will say of my performance career is like, yes, I've been in shows and played roles, but oftentimes I'm the dance captain, which is like a segue that feels like easy to sort of jump between worlds, because you're already running auditions and you're,
Right.
you're helping to make decisions in a way that trains you to be the choreographer.
Right. That's a great path and a great tip, because people end up what happened is people asked you, all you had to do was say yes. Oh, okay, I guess I'll do this for you.
Yeah.
Doing your own show.
Yes, for me, like honestly, I had time in my in that mid-20 range where I just kept saying like, okay, God or whoever you believe in, I was like, universe, like tell me what to do now, like Bring It On was done, and like what's next. And that week I got 3 choreography jobs of varying sizes. Like one was small, one was a little bit bigger, but it was like, it just kept smacking me in the face from like 19 years old onward. So I just, like you said, it's like, I just opened the door that was unlocked for me. And I would say now at 37, I'm definitely pursuing that more. But yeah, and then like when Hamilton started, I was performing, and now, 5 years in, I'm like, am I performing anymore?
Yeah. Are you done? Are you done? Or
I don't feel done, but like when you get to have these relationships with producers and casting directors and whatnot, in one way, it feels odd to suddenly like jump back over. Do you know what I mean? But I totally would. And I love performing. It's such a different muscle, and I love it very much. But I guess we'll see. I guess we will see,
Well, let me ask you about something else and see if you missed this. So one of my favorite new things to do for all my guests is I go on their Wikipedia page and I try to find the most random thing I can find and then put you on the spot about it.
I love that.
So yours is a mind-blowing one to me. So I'm just going to read the quote, everybody. It said you went to Rutgers. Is this true? And it says you double majored in genetics and microbiome research and modern dance. And then it starts a sentence that reads, her undergraduate work in cancer research. And I'm okay. Yes. So look, Drew obviously beat me to it. He's in his Corona uniform. He is sleuthing as well.
I love it.
But tell me about this 2 different sides of you and why you went one way or the other, or maybe you're still doing genetics and you're part-time. I don't know. But it's fascinating.
I love genetics. I love genetics in a way that's very close to my passion for dance. So that is true information. I actually also minored. I had 1 minor, and I almost had a second, but I minored in psych because my mom thought just in case I was not successful at the above two aforementioned degrees that I had, she was like, just have another backup. So yeah, so that's true information. The backstory to this is a number of things. One, my parents thought it was really important to have a backup. So I was like, great, I'll do a backup. I love school. I love studying. When I was in college, I went, all 4 semesters and every summer session, and I loved it. But the other thing was my best friend growing up, whose name was Katie Andrika, she was diagnosed when we were 19 with acute myeloid leukemia, AML. And she spent most of our senior year in the hospital. She went into remission before college. And then just before college began, she relapsed, and she was over at Rutgers at the hospital there. And as an inpatient. And the crazy part of this whole story is I did really well on my SATs, and I had a really great GPA, and I only applied to Ivy League schools, and NYU was my backup school. And now my dad got a master's from NYU. My grandmother went to NYU before women even went to college, and none of the schools accepted me. So every Ivy League and NYU. And I applied mainly for science degrees at these schools. I was planning on going to school because my parents were like, we're not paying for an education for dance. You have to go to science. And so I applied to Rutgers in June. And I ended up there with my best friend when she passed away, when we were a sophomore. So it was all meant to be. And I was doing research in the cancer lab downstairs that was sending up clinical trial medicines to her floor. And so that was it was yes on purpose, but it was also like exactly what the path was supposed to be. I now have an organization called Katie's Art Project, where I connect all my Broadway friends and artists that I know with these kids who are facing life-threatening illness to create what we like to call legacy projects, both for the artist and the kids. And it's awesome. We release songs on iTunes and music videos and create art that we show an art gallery in the summer in Tribeca, New York City. And so I feel like all of the degrees, the genetics and the dance and everything that put me at Rutgers was all for me to be with my friend, because that, is one of the biggest moments of my life. And yeah, after she passed away, I was quite reclusive, I'll say. And I just studied away, and I took the MCATs actually, and I applied to med school. And I got into med school, and my parents said, you can't, I was like, I'm going to defer for a year. And if I don't make it, whatever, where's my camera on the thing, make it, I'll go back to medical school. And in that first year, I did a lot of stuff, but on month 10, I got my equity card doing the first national tour of Bombay Dreams. And then it sort of snowballed from there. But to this day, every time there's a lull, I'm like, should I go back to school? I mean, literally, right now, I'm like, should I contact Columbia about their doctorate?
I'm the same way. I think we all are. It's a bit of this imposter syndrome, or a bit of this, should we have chosen another path, or whatever it is. Every once in a while I go because I almost went to law school.
Yeah.
Even after I went to Tisch. I went to Tisch at NYU, and then I was like, maybe I'll just go to law school. Right. Maybe everyone's, So yeah, I get it. What are you doing to stay creative now? You've got a 1-year-old, you're dealing with a pandemic, it's ups and downs of this crazy world. How are you staying creative and staying positive?
I try to take as many classes as I can. So many of my friends are offering free dance classes. I've taken Carla's, John Rua's, I take Andy Blankenbuehler's class. I pop on Capizio in the morning, sometimes do a little ballet warm-up while my son's playing in the background over here. So I take lots of classes. I also teach a class. I wear my son, and I teach class on Sundays. So I wear a parent and me class where you can wear your baby and dance.
Where is this?
On my Instagram account, 11 a.m. every Sunday.
Great. Mary's going to make sure we have your Instagram so everyone
Yes.
can watch you dance.
And that's so funny. People send me like videos of them where sometimes they're wearing their dogs or like a stuffed animal because they don't have a baby, which is very cute. And so I'm trying to dance a lot. Sometimes I feel like I'm dancing more now than I was when I was just flying around the world checking on companies of Hamilton. So that's actually been really nice. And I'm, I have been speaking about developing these new works, and I had 2 people had been reaching out to me, and I was so busy before this, as we all were, I'm sure. And so I'm working on developing these 2 musicals, and like, I don't know where they're going to go, but sitting down and just getting with creative teams and like having a deadline every week to just like chat is awesome. And it's been so fulfilling. And I have a friend, her name is Liz Kimball, and she kind of like invented this thing called NROC time, and it's non-results oriented creative time. And I think for all of us who are artists in the business, when everything that we do is attached to a deadline and monetized, and you have to do this, and it's really nice to find 15 minutes a day, and now a lot of us can find more time. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's really hard when you're chasing a 1-year-old around to find any time for yourself. He's not a napper. And so I have to go on a run to get him to nap once a day. And so it's like, I'm checking my emails while I'm crossing the street. It's like hilarious. But yeah, it's been really, really great. I heard you mention Lauren. Lauren's amazing. She's setting up a whole, so I'm not doing that. I'm definitely not on that level, but yeah, little things here and there, dance classes and working on new stuff.
Any tips for all the people out there on how to stay positive and keep your chin up through this and keep creating?
As part of Katie's Art Project, we do like a little live every Friday, and I spoke to John Ruitt today, and I feel like everyone's experience of this is so different. And he was talking about how I can go out on walks every single day and I can get fresh air because I live in the burbs sort of, and he's in Queens, and that's just like not really an option for him. And I think that advice coming from me, it may not appeal to different people because everyone's in such a specific, unique circumstance. But I feel ultimately like, today I was thinking, as a dancer who had a baby, my body has changed so significantly. And so during this pandemic, I've obviously had time to sort of like do certain routines every day that I didn't have time for. And the change is so slow that you don't see it happening, right? So like we all want to wake up on pandemic day 700, day 47, day 62, wherever we are right now. And like, today is the day that I'm gonna, and then like insert finished goal here, right? Like we just want that. And we forget that like every day, even just like the intention, switching our intention or thinking on it over and over and over again, it actually begins to move mountains. And before you know it, you are so far from where you began, but we don't know that while we're making these little tiny steps. And so I feel like we just have to know and trust that even though we may feel stuck, that things are moving around in and underneath us that we don't see right now. But when this is all said and done, we'll find that we wake up in a new place.
I love it. It's great advice. Look at this. I like Angela Grout.
I love that, Angela.
Oh, so punny, Angela. I love it, but so true. Thank you so much for sharing that, and thank you so much. You know what? We don't know each other that well, and what I love about this pandemic is it's just bringing people together. And I look forward to being in literally the same room with you now and maybe working on something.
I love it. Absolutely. It would be an honor. You're incredible yourself. It's an honor to speak to you. Seriously. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thanks for being here. Good luck with the non-napping 1-year-old. That is brutal.
A lot of walking.
And we'll see you very soon.
Cool.
Take care.
Thanks, man. Take care.
All right. Stephanie Klemons, everybody. What about that? What a great story. I mean, she's doing dance classes with her 1-year-old who doesn't nap. And I'm not a mom, and I'm like, when does my kid go down for a nap? I can't even imagine. My wife is, every mother out there does wear a cape or two. My wife, she's like Batman, actually. And when her doula was like Robin, I was like just like sitting back, like watching the whole thing happen. So shout out to all the moms. Again, let's have Mother's Day again. So that wraps up another week of the Producer's Perspective Live. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed tonight's episode with Stephanie or any of the episodes we've had, don't hesitate to throw some cash at the Actors Fund. That's why we're here. That's why we're doing this. That's why this is episode number 48, I believe, right? Mary's nodding her head at me. I wish we could do a second screen of that. I also want to thank so many of you. If you can see my eyes darting off the sides because I'm scrolling through the comments to look for something. I want to thank all of you who are joining us from all over the world, including Hiro Rasa from South Africa. We have someone from South Africa tonight. I love it. Thank you for that. Thank you for all the donations from all of you who have been giving so generously to the Actors Fund. Please keep it up. A few more things to say before we finish up. Mary, who's on Monday? Come on and say hello to everyone and tell us who's up. Mara Isaacs, come on, Mary.
Hello.
Look, it's Mary. Mary's here to say happy weekend to everybody. Mara Isaacs from Hamilton. I mean, God damn it, I can't end a week from Hadestown. It's the other H one, right?
Yeah, Hadestown.
All right, you can go away now. Producer of Hadestown, Mara's fantastic. She does a lot of consulting as well. From nonprofit to commercial producing, super smart lady, Tony Award-winning producer. I can't wait to hear her perspective on how things are going to come back, how Hadestown is going to come back, and what's it going to look like when we do. Don't forget to keep up the social distancing. Just keep it up a little longer. We can make it through this thing and continue to make it easier for Broadway and all the theaters to get back. And now we're going to end with something to make you smile, as we always do. And this one, boy, this is an inspiration to all the husbands out there. So first of all, this video comes from one of you. A viewer sent us this video. So I encourage you to send us stuff. As you know, if you're just joining us tonight, we end each episode with something to make you smile, just something to put a smile on your face so it can take you away from CNN, or you should either watch these something to make you smile, or you should watch Stephanie's Instagram, because on Sundays at 11 she dances with a 1-year-old. I will be tuning in. So do that, or watch one of these videos. So this one's special. Kayla Hawkins was supposed to come to New York City for the very first time recently to celebrate her 30th birthday, and she had to cancel the trip, obviously. So her husband brought New York to Colorado Springs for her. So it's adorable, and they were going to see Wicked. And as you can see, this, by the way, is one of the best reasons to have a lot of kids, because they can put on Wicked for you in your backyard. You got to see this. It's the most adorable thing. He even brought a slice of New York pizza back with them as well. So check it out. Mary will post it. It's on the producersperspective.com/smile. Go check it out, and it will lead you into a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thanks so much for being here with us and for continuing to support the Actors Fund. We will see you Monday with Mara Isaacs. Have a fantastic and very safe weekend, everybody. Bye-bye.
Getting the band back together.